Hello, everyone. I'm pharmacist Michael, and today I have the beautiful Jess with me. I've known Jess
Hello.
for quite a while, and we're going to talk about some struggles, maybe.
Some struggles, some overcomings, some
We're going to
battles.
we're going to talk about some of the struggles Jess has had and how she got over them, and hopefully we can help some people out there who may have the same issues. So, why don't we start with substance abuse?
Okay. So when I was, I would say 18, I found the synthetic cannabis, the K2, and I thought I was doing a great service by staying away from any illegal activities. Um, to use something legal, which was what the doctors say was the same damage I was doing to my body as huffing paint thinner. Which, yeah. Um, it took me waking up about every 15 minutes, being up at 3 o'clock in the morning, not being able to find a lighter, driving 30 minutes to the nearest open gas station to realize like I had a problem. So I was an addict for a long time, like 6, 7 years. But I've been clean for 10.
Okay,
10 years.
so this was a synthetic
Right.
drug, and you were addicted for 10 years.
No, I was addicted for like, I want to say 7 years.
7 years, okay, but you've been
Yeah.
clean for 10 years.
Well, I don't want to say clean because I still have used, which is going to be another topic, in the discussion. I
Okay,
have I have used cannabis to kind of be a tool in my recovery process. Um, Kind of how, some people use MAT medication. It has always helped me. Um, but it has now started causing issues because of my tolerance and what I'm intaking. And the syndrome is actually becoming a lot more common now that people are being more honest and open about their cannabis use. The studies that have been done in legal states, uh, what was the percent? Like 33%, I thought I read, and hospital rates in legal states went up from people with abdominal pain, discomfort, and nausea and vomiting.
so I'm going to say what I think is happening here, and I'm not a psychiatrist, guys. I want to make that very clear, but I think this abuse of K2 and cannabis has a lot to do with your breathing problems, for one. Because
Hmm.
I think what's happening here is your anxiety level is going up due to the use of these substances. Now, I can't prove that, but what do you think about that? Do you think there's any?
I agree. I mean, it comes and goes. Uh, it's like being pregnant almost, morning sickness, and then, severe dehydration, loss of appetite. I've gone to the hospital a few times. And then, of course, as that I was admitted, it'll be a year ago on July 4th, and they couldn't figure out what's wrong with me. It's been this way every time I go, and I just have unexplained. I mean, when I tell you I can't even take a sip of water, it's bad. And it like comes in these waves. But when I tell you I feel like I'm dying, I feel like I'm dying. And I agree with you because every time I go, there's nothing ever wrong with me, and they ask me, are you a cannabis user? And the issue with this syndrome is that if it is, in fact, cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome, which I'm pretty sure it is, then I can never intake any cannabinoids ever, not even a CBD gummy,
Okay,
because, yeah.
explain to the people out there what happens to you with the breathing, because that I think that's a fascinating thing.
I
Explain what
know.
that's like.
Okay. So, about a year ago, I developed the breathing issues where I go to sleep fine, and then I wake up at like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm awake. I'm not asleep. Everyone says, well, you may have sleep apnea. I'm awake. And I will hold my breath, and it puts me in this fight or flight mode, which then starts inducing vomiting. And it is sometimes the most unbearable anxiety I have ever dealt with in my life.
And it doesn't just happen at night, though, right? Doesn't it happen sometimes during the day too?
It does on really bad days. I'll do it all day. Sometimes I'll be in bed all day. And that again is something that I've been trying to research. There's so much there's more studies that need to be done on this syndrome, and I think that not a lot of people are paying attention to it like they should, because I have every symptom, and I just can't help but think that this has to be tied to it. Because another symptom I have is having the need for extreme, like excessive heat. I will sleep with a heating pad. I will take the entire thing off and sleep with the bare heating pad on my stomach at night to help me breathe. And that's one of the main symptoms of CHS. People
I'm
will
gonna.
burn. There's groups. There's
Yes,
groups. It's insane.
but they can't figure this out. So when they
Mm-mm.
ask you if you're a cannabis user and you say yes, that's the end of the questioning.
It the doctors aren't, especially here in Texas where it's not, it's decriminalized, but it's not legal. I wouldn't say, well, I mean, ignorant would be the word, but they just don't know. And so all the research I've done, at all, and all the support groups I'm in, it comes down to one thing. Like, you can take all the Zofran in the world, okay? You, but you have to quit. You have to quit 110% forever. You can, it could, because if you do it again, you're going to get sick, because it's messing with the lining of your stomach. And like, I don't like how usually when people smoke, they get the munchies. I'm not hungry. And then I have to force myself sometimes to drink water because I won't be thirsty. But it comes in waves, and I think all of it's tied in. The breathing and everything is tied into it.
Are you determined to never do it again?
Not right now.
Okay.
Not right now. Just because this would have to be, again, like, people have to remember, when you are an avid drug user, and I'm talking about like you're an addict, you will always be in recovery. You're never going to be a full recovered drug addict. You will always be a recovering drug addict. It is a it's a journey. Um, but right now, I don't know, like, working out's really balancing my sleep. I haven't had this issue, although I will say this morning I did wake up with some breathing issues, but it wasn't till like 9 o'clock in the morning, and I was able to wake myself up, take some ashwagandha.
Good for you.
But I will tell you, I like, sometimes I can't keep anything down, any gummies, any vitamins, any kind of anything. It just will all come up.
Have you tried stopping smoking for a week to see what happens?
I've quit before.
No, I mean
I've quit.
recently.
No, I don't, like, I'm just not in a place right now. I just rolled down my window. I'm not in a place right now where I think I could handle it. Maybe I would need to get on like a regimen of mental health medications.
Okay, here's what I'm going to tell you, Jess.
Like,
This
for
this is
sure.
this is coming with from somebody who not only has been there but also is board
Right.
certified in psychiatry.
Mhm.
The two best times to stop doing drugs are before you start And when do you think the second best time is?
You tell
Now.
me. I know. I know. No, I know it.
So,
I know.
you can spend you can say it's not the right time, but it's never going to be the right time. The right time
Right.
is now.
Right.
So
I know.
if you're addicted to anything, and this goes for everybody out there, if you're, I don't care if it's sex, drugs, gambling, porn, whatever it is, if you're addicted to anything, you need to quit to get your life back. That's just the way it is.
Right. Right. And see, in the last doctor I saw, that's where I was going with that. Is she was like, you don't have to stop. Just cut
Well,
back. And I'm
that's a
like,
horrible doctor.
I
That's
was like,
somebody.
no, no. I was like, no, the research, I would have to stop. And like, not even be able to take CBD gummies for pain. I would have to stop completely. Any cannabinoids would mess me up if I have the syndrome. But there's people that don't even know if they have it or not. I mean, at the end of the day, I feel fantastic right now. I feel great right now. I felt great since I started working out again. I,
So the question is, if you stopped, how much better would you feel though?
I don't know. I mean, honestly, I don't know because I've smoked for so long and I have it's always been in my recovery journey forever, and I've never there's been a couple times in my life where I have stopped, and it's not like I noticed much of a difference, um, other than I was more stressed out. But I don't know.
Well, your lungs will know a difference.
I know. I know. We
You
all
got
have
to
our
you got to
poison out
know
there.
you've got to know that it's not good for you. Now,
Mm,
there are times where I think smoking marijuana is a reasonable treatment for certain things. If you have cancer and you can't eat, is one. Some people it
yeah.
calms them down, but if you start getting hyperemesis syndrome from it, then clearly you've crossed the line
Yeah.
from
Right.
where and remember when I was growing up, the marijuana wasn't near as strong as it is now. It's a whole new world
That's
now.
an exactly, and that is why that is why there's not any studies except for the states that have legalized it like recreational wise, um, because there's nothing on it, because from back in the even the 60s to now it's not the same at all.
Right.
Did your stomach feel better when you stopped? Okay, so here's the deal. I When I got pregnant with both of my kids, I had hyperemesis gravidarum syndrome. I dropped 40 pounds when I was pregnant with Willow. I threw up every day. I've always struggled with and this another reason why I wish there was more studies on this particular syndrome. My Both of my parents have extreme stomach issues. I'm not a doctor. I don't know what's hereditary, what's not. Um, I do know today I ate some rice for the first time, and it I got very bloated and it was awful. So I think I may have a gluten intolerance. I just think I just want more information, honestly, because I've always struggled with stomach issues. So I honestly couldn't answer that.
So when you quit, how long did you quit for?
A month?
And you couldn't tell any different. You were still sick when you
I
ate?
was No, 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 no. Oh, no, 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 no. The thing with this is that this just started, I would say, within this last year.
Right.
I've just been extremely uneducated. I didn't even know cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome was a thing until William sent me a video, and he was like, "Just watch this video, please." And so I watched it, and it was of this woman whose son passed away. Now, he had it extremely bad. extreme. I don't know. He also had a bunch of underlying health issues. There needs to be more studies done. Um, but on the death certificate, he passed away from dehydration due to cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome. And what happens is people, they stop smoking and then they end up feeling like absolute crap for weeks. And they're like, okay, well, it's not the cannabis. And then they start smoking again when in fact it is the cannabis still. Um, and it's just hard because no one like me or anyone out there who, is a hard worker that wants to sit down at night and just smoke a little after a day of work wants to think that what they're doing can kill them,
Right.
it's just it's something, no pills, no powder. If it grows in the ground, it's probably okay. And it's like, that's not true.
Right. I agree with you.
It's not true. And it's, the video, the showers and the support groups, the pictures of the skin, the burning on the skin from people
Trying to stay
blistering.
warm, right?
Mhm.
Well, people do the same thing with alcohol. They come home, they have a couple of drinks at night. Millions of people can do that and be just fine. But I can tell you, I have watched hundreds of people die, sometimes in their 30s and 40s, from alcoholism because their body can't stop once they start.
Right.
And I think, just because some people, and there's people that can smoke weed, Willie Nelson, some of these guys, Snoop,
That's that's what I'm saying. I'm
but
like,
but that doesn't mean you can do it, right? I mean,
right.
everybody's
And that
body
is
is different.
that's the hardest thing as an addict, because I'm not going to bullshit anyone. I It's like, I have my own feelings about about everyone's recovery is their own.
That's right.
If you have to be on MAT medication to stay to that's my thing, is I'm not going to say to stay sober. To stay off of whatever it is that was killing you, go you. High
Right.
five. But when it gets to a point where it's causing issues, which again, I don't know. I have felt great this last week. I have felt amazing. Another thing that I haven't had to do is take a sleeping medication, like a Unisom, to put me to sleep.
Okay, so
Like,
explain to us
it's
what
been
you've
great.
done this last week that you think makes you feel better.
A ton of cardio.
So
A ton of
exercise.
cardio. Water, pickle juice. Lots of pickle juice. Because I'm struggling with cramps. Um, just tons of water and just exercising and listening to music. Music has been a huge part in this whole last week has been a new journey for me as a person, because I don't know.
What made you decide to start going to the gym?
Uh we were on our way home from going out to eat, and it was like 10:30 at night, and I was talking about it, and I was like, I'm just gonna do it. They have hydro massage and it's just Planet Fitness, but I mean, you
Hey,
can't really beat what they give you for $20.
no
So I just
kidding.
did it. And that's the thing is, I always, I'm gonna get a gym membership. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. And I've had so many gym memberships. I've just always stopped. And I don't know. I'm ready. I need to lose weight for one. I want to lose weight. Um, and I just want to, I'm not getting exercise. Even when I go
Oh,
back
look
to
who's
work.
in here. Look who's proud of you.
Well, thank you.
I'm proud of her too, William. I'm proud of her
Yeah.
too. I think anything that you can do to make yourself better and make yourself feel better is great.
Yeah,
And
I think
exercise is
the
one of the five. It's one of the five
late
pillars of
night
health.
gym, late night gym is really help. I feel like if I were to go in the morning, it wouldn't do the same for me as what it's doing when I go at night, because I'm really doing it as part of like a bedtime routine, to be honest.
Well, it doesn't matter when you do it. You do it when it's right. It's like the recovery thing. You do it when it's right for you. Some people love to
And
work
I
out in the
feel
morning.
right. I feel like this is going to group when I was in rehab. I just go here and I just blow off steam from the day. I'm with the kids and I'm not working until next hurricane season, so I'm bored and it's hot. I mean, your kids can't last 15 minutes.
Right.
There's air quality alerts every day. It's just, I don't know. I want to do things. I'm at a point in my life. I'm 31 and I just what the hell am I doing? What am I
Well,
doing?
you know what, Jess? I'm going to tell you something. You can do whatever you want to do. You can
Right.
be whatever you
Yep.
want to
I
be.
sure can. And that's what I want to. I want to be good for my kid. I don't want to be skinny, just like my friend said. I don't want to be skinny. I want to be healthy. I want to be good for my kids. If I'm good for my kids, that is all I care about. And I'm not good for my kids when I'm walking into a store and I'm like out of breath and I end up having a heart attack, literally.
Well,
But yeah.
I think working out will help you. I think just the five pillars of health, period. Sleeping's one of them. You're getting better at that. Exercise is one of them. You're getting better at that. What kind of food do you eat?
So mm, I'm trying right now to eat less red meat. I love steak. Oh, I love a good steak. Um, Let me plug my phone in.
What
I
about
love a
fast
good
food?
steak. Um, if I get fast food, I'm trying to do like a bean burrito from Taco Bell, you know? But I'm eating like a lot of chicken, a lot of grilled chicken, like kebabs with bell peppers. I did the bell pepper with the cream cheese and the everything bagel. I live in Texas. I live where Jetty May lives in Texas, and it is
She
hot.
lives about 80 miles from where I lived when I was in Texas.
Yeah. And it's just, I mean, this heat, if you're not exercising or at least going for walks, just walking outside, you're gonna feel. I'm just so tired of feeling like I'm dying all the time. And it's to the point where I tell myself, am I just a hypochondriac in my head? Or is
No,
it that I literally feel like shit every single day? And I feel like crap every single day. And at the end of the day, I think a lot more studies need to be done um, on this syndrome so people can know what's going on, the dangers of it, what comes with it, and that everyone's journey is going to be different. Like I said, mine comes in waves, and I've been smoking cannabis, I would say a long time. A very
yes,
like
you have. Well,
a, a long time. And it's always, it helps me focus. I have ADHD. Yeah, it's like right now it says 92, but that's just because I have the AC on. Um, it really is. Like if I were to get in the car, it would say 110, literally. It has been very hot. Like very hot.
so you've done some studies on this hyperemesis. Can you run through the symptoms that somebody would have if they're smoking marijuana and they may have this? Can you give me a list of?
So I'm gonna name off my symptoms, and I'll name off just like common symptoms. So some of the common symptoms are the main one, the hot water, the need for that warm water, hot shower, so hot that your skin is literally like smoking when you get out of the shower. That's going to be your
Even
main,
when it's 100 degrees outside.
even when it's 100 degrees outside. Morning sickness,
Okay.
loss of appetite, dehydration. And if you do, the most important thing is that if you are a cannabis user, you struggle, with uh, I am hanging in there. If you struggle with this, just if drink water. That's the most important thing because it will kill you. Um, and I asked, a couple of my nurse friends about it. They know about it. They hospitalize people for it. I've been hospitalized for it for 4 days. But those are
What,
going to be the main symptoms:
what else? Is that it?
shaking, anxiety. Everyone's anxiety is going to come different.
Right.
Uh, and there's going to be days where you feel like, and that's the thing is I would tell Will, I feel like I'm dying. I literally feel like I'm dying. And in
How
the
did he
video,
find how did he find this video?
he I can't remember. What were we doing? I can't remember if it was the very first time I went to the hospital. This was whenever, this was not because of hyperemesis. This was not because of cannabinoid hyperemesis. This was because I was working with the COVID. Y'all know this, but I don't think the people in here know this. I was working with the COVID division of FEMA, and I was dealing with death, trauma dumping, um, mothers who have lost their babies that are calling for money for help, people who are getting denied their help. And it was taking such a mental toll on me. So I was taking Xanax. Well, I didn't know that I didn't abuse them. I was never abusing them. So I didn't know that I couldn't just stop taking them. So I was
Oh,
taking them for about a month and a half straight. And I stopped.
you should have asked your favorite pharmacist. Think I could have
I
told you
didn't
that.
I didn't think. I wasn't I was just I didn't I was just like I don't whatever, I was having a good day. And the worst decision of my life. And that's when I went to the hospital because I was throwing up. I love that question. There's ways. There's ways, Janet. Yeah, but remember, I think it was the first time I went to the hospital though, and the nurse, I had Crocs on, and my Crocs had a little cannabis leaf on it.
Oh,
And I'm all for plant medicine, any kind of plant medicine. Your recovery's your journey.
right.
And I had the little cannabis leaf on my shoe. And she just looked at me, and I wasn't honest. I didn't want to tell her that I thought I was withdrawing because I knew I was, because I'm an addict and I've been through withdrawal multiple times because I've also relapsed. Again, I've been clean for 10 years. Whoop, whoop. Um, so
Okay,
I knew I was.
I want to stop you just for 1 second because I've got a question for you, and this is super important.
What?
Did the person that prescribed the Xanax know you were a former addict?
No,
Okay, keep going.
no, not at all. I've
Okay,
never really been honest. Like I don't. I know
because you
I didn't need it. Like I didn't think I was going to be like, okay, I'm going to need this medication all the time. I thought I could take it. It was going to help my mental health, and then I could stop, and it did. My days got better. I
but
was good.
you are very lucky because Xanax is one of the
I
most
know.
addictive drugs
I know.
there
I know.
is.
I went to the hospital and I knew, And I told her, I was like, I'm throwing up. And I knew I was withdrawing, but of course they couldn't find anything wrong because I wasn't honest. And that's whenever she told me, do you smoke cannabis? And I was like, sometimes. Why? And she was like, well, there's this new syndrome, and it's called cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome, and it's making frequent smokers sick. And that was the first time I had ever heard about it. We don't have, I mean, okay, so here in Texas, you can buy anything that's less than, is it 0.3 or 3%? 0.3% or 3, I think it's 3%. Less than 3% of Delta 9 THC. You can smoke Delta 8 THC. Like I can go into a smoke shop and
Point
buy
three.
actual, yeah,
William says
point
it's
0.3.
point three.
Okay. So I can go and get cannabis flower. I can go get Delta 8 flower, which is just a different cannabinoid in the cannabis plant. It's Delta 8
Why don't they
THC, which
just
is not going to
legalize the
really,
whole damn thing?
because of things like this. And that's the thing, is these support groups.
Well, they have alcohol legal, right? It kills
Right,
people
right. And
every
it's the
day.
same thing. It's the same damn thing. And these support groups, they are people who have been avid cannabis users for 30 plus years who are like, legalizing it is going to kill people.
Well, people are
And
going to smoke it anyway. And I'm going to say that I would rather have people smoking weed than drinking, almost always, because alcohol is
and
really
that's my
bad for
and
your
that
body.
it really, and that's my thing, is that when I didn't smoke, I started drinking wine. I don't drink. I don't like to drink. I hardly ever drink. I love a good Mexican beer with lime and salt, don't get me wrong. And I will throw down on a strawberry daiquiri once every 6 months. I just don't drink. All I
Tequila
want is
Willies?
tequila willies. No, not on a Friday night. I
Okay.
won't. Mm-mm.
Okay.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, and that's what I want. Even though I haven't stopped, I know who I am. I know what it's like for me, and it's just I'm not ready yet. I will
Okay, and
be.
it's you're never going to be able to stop if you're not ready. That we all know
I
that,
will.
right? But
But
you're
we'll
making some
see.
steps. You're making some
Yeah.
positive steps.
Well,
You're at the
I want to
gym.
see what the gym is gonna provide if I put the energy and the work in. Because again, there's not a lot of study on this at
Right.
all. At all. Now, unless you're in a legal state. You should talk to some of your doctor friends about it and see what they say.
Oh, I could definitely do that.
See
I
what
could.
they, I mean, usually, like my friend said, I asked my nurse friend, and she said usually what they do is they hook them up to an IV for a few days, pump them with some nausea medication, and send them home.
But you said the Zofran didn't work.
Noah, Noah, if you have, for me, I'm not at a point of where like I'm needing Zofran constantly. Mine is when I'm sick, but I'm mainly good. But when I'm sick, there's no like, no one knows why. No one knows why. And that was another thing in that video, was we were taking him to the ER, to the doctor, to the specialist. No one knew why. And when I was in the hospital, they did the gastric, where you drink the heavy stuff, and
Yeah.
they roll you around the gastric.
Yeah.
I think it's the emptying.
Hmm.
And then they had me in there and we're going to schedule the camera down the throat.
Right.
But
Endoscopy.
I ended up leaving
Why'd you leave?
because it was the 4th of July and I wanted to go to
Oh,
the movies with my kids.
okay. That makes sense. And the
What
last
the
time you went, they didn't even cut and see you, right? You just ended up leaving because they never came to get you.
The last time I went was when that doctor, and she seemed like she knew what she was doing, but she was nice. She was like, "You don't have to stop. I would just cut back a little. She needs to be educated. The doctors in these illegal states are not educated on anything cannabis because
Well, they should be because people in Texas were smoking pot when I was there in 1988.
they still
So they still
are.
smoked it. It doesn't matter if it's
I
legal or not. They
know.
should. They should be
It's
educated on
ridiculous.
cocaine, heroin, marijuana,
And
everything,
well, and that's the thing,
whether it's
but
legal
that's the
or not.
thing. That goes back to being in an illegal state. I feel more people because okay, when you're dealing with people who are going to need Narcan, heroin addicts, just drug addicts in general. These hospitals, these doctors, they're not thinking I'm going to see someone today that is sick from smoking weed.
That's true.
It's not a thing, but it is. And they're just extremely uneducated. But it's becoming to the point where the doctors are at least like, it's a thought, it's there.
Okay, here's my problem with that, though. Here's my problem. William goes on to TikTok and finds a video on this, but the doctors don't know it exists. There is a disconnect there somewhere.
You are so right. William did that.
So
Wow.
if he's able to go on to TikTok and find a video on this, then the doctors in the emergency room damn well should know what it is. That's their job.
I know. You just no one in a million years will think to themselves that like when they're there's do you know who Rick Stevens is?
No.
You don't know. He's an author. He's an older gentleman and like back when I found him he was in his 60s. So I don't even know how old he is now. But he had this wine glass and he had a piano with Chopin. Do you know who Chopin is?
Oh yeah.
Okay. He had a Chopin music sheet and he had a wine glass and in the wine glass it was full of bud. And I was a teacher at the time. And it said, I go to work every day and I bust my ass and I pay my taxes, something along the line of like being an American citizen that pays their taxes and pays their dues. And if he wants to come home and sit in front of his fireplace and smoke a joint at the end of a busy night, that should be his American right. And I was like, hell yeah. I feel you, Rick Stevens. And so like that just he's always been that was something that always
Unless
stuck
you're
with
an
me.
airline pilot or a bus driver that drives kids around or something. I mean, I
Well,
think
you're
there's
not unless
limitations
no.
to that.
I don't think anyone should be sparking up and then going, operating heavy machinery equipment, of course, but I mean, it's a struggle out here for these
But I agree with
for
you. I mean,
us
I live in
moms.
Oregon. It's been legal here for years, and I don't see any difference. I mean, I haven't noticed. People were all worried about, oh, there's people going to be driving around on the street. They're, smoking weed. It's going to be dangerous, but alcohol's way worse.
Is
One
there
thing
a
I can tell
way?
you, you can drive better when you smoke dope than you can when you're hammered, drunk.
Mhm.
So,
I agree.
that we got something wrong in this whole equation. I don't know. But I do think that I think that there's going to be side effects to every drug, including marijuana. People that say it has no side effects, that's ridiculous. It does. It makes people
There's all,
paranoid, but not
Williams always
everybody.
told me,
Not
Williams always
everybody.
told me, too much of everything is never okay.
Yeah, potheads wait for the stoplight to turn green. That's right. That's right. And they
Literally, I mean,
usually drive
facts.
slower, not faster, right?
I mean,
I don't
I
know.
don't,
I've
I,
always been an advocate for legalized marijuana, always, ever since I was a kid. I think it's just crazy that it's illegal.
I have too. I've always been such a huge advocate. And that's the thing is all these people are until I mean, some of these people, Michael, are so sick
Right. No, I know.
that they have pick lines, that they have Zofran pumps. They look like skins and bones
Yeah,
and skin.
I know it.
And they are like, the problem with this is the legalization. I mean, it has
No,
turned
it's
these
not.
people
It's not.
into cannabis hating people. And I'm just trying, because my thing is I have ADHD, but I can't take Adderall. I will fall asleep. I can't take Ritalin. I can't take Strateer. I can't take ADHD meds. I have been on them my whole life, and all I did was not drink water, not eat. I was a zombie, and I wanted to sleep all the time, and I still failed school. There are just no medicines out there that works with my brain, but when I smoke, it helps me focus, helps me get stuff done, and it helps me just deal. And I think that's
So,
why
are
I'm
you
trying to clean
hoping?
up my health, is so if I can implement exercise into my daily routine, that will, like this morning when I woke up, I didn't, I just went about my day. I didn't feel like, let me smoke before my kids get up. I was good.
So, if you find out you have this CHS syndrome, are you going to stop smoking pot?
Yeah, I would be so sad.
Are
I'm
you
not even gonna
hoping? You're
lie.
hoping that you don't have it.
I'm hoping that I don't, because for one, I've never not made a good friend from smoking with someone. And for two, it's always been a part of my recovery. Period. Dot. The end. Always. The end. That, and it just always has. And
And I don't want to tell you what the drug abuse counselors would say to that because we're not even going to get into that
I know.
argument.
Oh no,
But
and I know what they would, but like I said, when I did stop smoking, I picked up drinking wine. And I don't have
I
a
think that's
gallbladder.
worse. I
I
think it's
know. I
worse.
know, me too. Me too. Me too.
I'm going to tell you right now, I have never, I personally, I worked in hospitals for years and years and years, and I have never seen anybody die from marijuana, but I've seen a lot of them die from alcohol. Lots and lots and lots. So that
Right.
doesn't mean they don't. That just means I haven't seen it.
Right.
I'm not saying everybody should smoke weed either. I mean, I don't know. I think for some people, it can help them, but I mean, I think if you want to be as healthy as you can, you shouldn't be putting foreign things in your body at all. But I'm not going to
Right.
knock people who do it because maybe they're like you. Maybe they have some sort of a condition that traditional Western medicine doesn't work for.
I mean, and I'm not even going to be the first to lie and say, oh, I smoke because I have ADHD. I smoke because I like to smoke. And I'll be
Right.
the first to admit that, but it does help with my day to day activity. It really does, because your girl cannot take ADHD medication. It's just not, I will pass out.
Right.
I will literally fall asleep.
So, what would you tell somebody who thinks they might have this syndrome? What should they do?
For one, if you feel like you are dehydrated, go to the hospital, get fluids, whether you have insurance or not, um, because being dehydrated will kill you. Um, and then
Join a
if you
support
think,
group?
Join a support if you can handle it. You have to remember support groups aren't for everyone. There
Are
are
you in
rules.
one?
I am in one, but I respect the rules. You know, some of the rules are absolutely no talk of cannabis use, so I don't talk about it. But I do read the post. They help because there's 15,000. I mean, it's such an unknown illness that is under the table that so many people like me know about, but that no one's going to listen to someone like me about.
Okay, so I'm going to do a video on this topic, just so you know, on here. I'm going to do some research and I'm going to do
Right.
a video on it because I think people need to know about it. And it really angers me that William has to go on TikTok to diagnose you, and an emergency room physician that's probably getting paid $300,000 a year can't figure it out. That
I
bothers me.
mean, and you know what's it's crazy because it's like these doctors that are, you know, a little older are the ones that don't know, and then it's like these nurses. It's the young nurses that are like, I think you have CHS. I think you're
Yeah,
smoking
William
too
wants a
much.
raise.
Oh no.
Well, here's
He
the
he's
thing. But if
he's
the
getting a
nurses,
decrease in pay.
doctors get a lot of their information from nurses anyway. So if the younger nurses know, they should be telling the doctor, and the doctor should be listening. I listen to my technicians all the time. They should. So if anybody there knows about it, they should at least.
Yeah.
But is there a test for it? I mean, how do they know for sure
No.
that's what it is?
There's not.
That's
Again,
probably the problem, is they can't prove that that's what you have. There's no
they've only
diagnostic test.
started testing. They've only noticed that hospital rates have gone up in nausea and vomiting and abdominal pain. William, do you remember the percentage? Wasn't it like 33% or
Just
13%?
in
I'm,
states where it's
I'm
legal,
either low
though?
or high. I can't remember. Huh?
Is it just in states where it's legal?
I don't remember. I don't want to speak on it because I don't remember the exact facts.
Okay.
I don't even remember the percentage, but they have done studies where they've and can't like I guess people who have reported using cannabis and reporting to the ER for nausea and vomiting. I think that's
Yeah, but
what
don't you think people were using cannabis before and just not telling them?
right, but it's not this crystallized purple,
That's true.
blue dream.
Yeah.
The closer you're gonna get to having like a good bud, this goes back to like when she was asking about the quality of bud, to like natural is gonna be like OG Kush. Everything else is gonna be super, you have your New York sour diesel that smells literally like gas. And all that, unfortunately, is modified.
Right.
Just like if I want to go into Kroger right here, I can literally buy an onion like the size of half my face if I wanted to. You can make anything, and the bud is just not this. It's not the same bud. It doesn't have seeds. It's not the same grown bud that was back around in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. It's different now.
Right.
And nobody knows because there's not really studies on what happens if you're an avid smoker of this type of
That's right.
cannabis.
It's way
And
stronger.
right, right. Now, the only difference, well, there is no difference. From being an alcoholic, the only way to stay okay is to stop.
Right. But you told us earlier in this
30.
broadcast that people still feel like crap after a month and they say this isn't what it is, so they start again, right?
Well, and that's what well, no. It's so difficult to understand. It's difficult because people are sick from the cannabis, but when they're smoking the cannabis, it's helping them in the moment.
Right.
It's relieving it it's like being addicted to frickin' drugs or being an alcoholic. You're drinking, you feel okay. You wake up, you're not drinking, you have the shakes
Right. Well, it is a
until
drug.
you smoke.
It is a
But
drug.
again, there needs to be more study because it's not always that way. I wake up all the time. I wake up all the time and I don't need to smoke and I feel great.
Yep.
You know?
And everybody's
It's
body's different.
but there has to be a reason if I'm waking up, once every month or two for 7 days straight, throwing up, feeling miserable, and there's just no. But then again, when I was a kid, I remember my dad waking up when he was my age, days and days in a row, puking his freaking guts up.
And
And
he
I'm like,
wasn't
is this.
smoking weed, was he?
No, no. And I'm
Okay.
like, is this hereditary or do I have CHS?
And we
I
don't
don't know.
know. We don't know.
Right. Oh, I don't know.
And the doctors don't know either. Maybe it's not the
No.
doctor's fault. Maybe there's no way they can tell for sure if that's what it is. I don't know because I'm not a doctor.
I mean, what do you think of the medication Reglan?
What do you mean? What do I think of it? I mean, I
Why
think
would
it
that
has its place
why would that be something that the doctor I saw last would want to prescribe me?
because it slows your motility in your GI tract, I'm assuming.
Right, because what the CHS is doing is it's messing up the lining of your stomach, and that's why people are getting sick. So
Can
does
they
that make
check the
sense?
lining? Is there a way for them to check the lining of your
No,
stomach?
there's not enough research to even know what would need to be done. I don't think. I got a CAT scan for my hernia.
And what did it
That's
show?
it.
Nothing?
Well, that's what I thought, is I thought my hernia was getting incarcerated, but nothing. But it does get painful. So I don't know.
You've got a lot of problems and no answers, Jess.
I know. And that's what everyone who has CHS says. I have a lot of problems and no answers. And it just sucks because some people just want to come home at the end of the day and smoke a blunt.
Yeah, no, I know. Of
They
course they
don't
do.
want to take a shot of tequila. They just want to smoke.
Yep.
Some of these people work in the plants. Some of these people are doctors. Some of these people are lawyers. They just want to smoke. And it sucks that the thought of cannabis being able to make you sick is even a real thing. And that it has taken lives. You just have to research it. It's not something that's talked about.
Right. Well, I'm interested now. I'm going to research it because I want to know what's going on with you, if that's even what it is. And
Right.
I think I want to go look it up today and see what the doctor's information is on this to see what it said. It's got to be in there. It's got to be.
I mean, the breathing thing, I think is a lot stress related.
Yes, for
And
sure.
again, that's where the gym comes in, and it's been helping.
Yeah, I think it
Um,
will.
yeah, but I definitely am going to have to see where I'm at in a month or two
Okay.
and then check back in.
So we can do another interview in a month or two.
Yep. But right now, I'm going to go in the gym and do my thing and
How
go
long do
home and
you
go to
spend?
sleep.
How long do you spend in there?
I'm here. We in here.
For how long?
We are in here till like 11 sometimes.
Okay.
I just blow off steam.
I
I
think that's
just
great. I do.
I find little things to do, but a lot of the time too, I'm stretching. I'll do red light therapy, which takes a good 15 minutes. I'll do, hydro massage for a good 20 minutes. It takes time if you utilize that's the biggest thing is if you're going to go to the gym, utilize all the extra stuff.
Sounds like Janet's been there. She just got there from a different.
Yeah, no, I totally relate. Like my friend she's a nurse in a pediatric unit. She said she went to work today and she just got sick and started throwing up, and I totally I could ugh, I don't me and throwing up just it's one of my biggest fears, and I have to live through it so often. My pregnancy just traumatized me,
Yeah.
literally.
You should
But
try red light therapy, she says.
I did it last night. I'm gonna do it again tonight. I liked it. It uh felt good on the body. I'm gonna do it again.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go into the gym. It
Okay,
was good
Jess,
talking
thank
to y'all.
you. You look
You're
great.
welcome.
I hope you get better. I want to come back in
Thanks.
2 months and you're going to say I'm perfect. I feel great. I can breathe at
Right?
night. I'm getting plenty of sleep.
We'll check back in.
We will do that.
All right. Goodbye, everyone.
Thanks, Jess. Well, that was my friend Jess, and I find that topic fascinating, and I will do some research and do a video on it. We'll see what I can find out. And maybe, I don't want to be too hard on doctors because I'm not one. And I know ER doctors have a very tough job. I do. So we will see what I can learn about it. And maybe there's a reason they can't figure out what it is. And if you're an ER doctor, you can leave me a comment and let me know. I know there's ER doctors on TikTok, or YouTube. So you're welcome, William. Take care of her. Jess is a feisty one for sure. So, like I always say, I'm Pharmacist Michael. Be happy and be healthy. And we will see you next time with another interview.